So just really quick, obviously we do the whole recap here. Last week, S&P was down 2.27%, NASDAQ 2.8%, Russell 1.21%, the Dow 1.11%. All to the downside. Some of the biggest pullbacks we've seen in quite some time, obviously within the year. And we also went through a couple of earnings. We saw travel stock earnings remain mixed, with the market concerned with the results as good as they can get. I suppose for now, international travel outperforms domestic travel as U.S. consumers rush aboard. Big tech earnings were mixed as well. Apple posed its third straight quarter year-over-year revenue declines. Meanwhile, the strength in Amazon's cloud business pushed the stock to a new year-2 high date. And I figured that's why this was all massive accumulation, hence why that stock was damn near untradeable, at least for longs, for a while there. Obviously, Apple ended up pulling back. A lot of people are correlating that with the overall pullback in the market. We saw cyclical stock Caterpillar jump to all-time highs on earnings, while longer-term Treasury yields pushed to New Year date highs, and also renowned fund manager Bill Ackman revealed he is short the 30-year Treasury bond in size. Alrighty. Obviously, we saw Robinhood, Tupperware, Yell, SoFi, a bunch of other. I'm not really going to waste your guys' time with that. But how we start typically every single week is taking a look at the Forex Factory here, and our economic calendar. You guys are talking or what? Oh my God. Sometimes when I see something pop up, I think that I'm muted or something, because I've definitely gone on rants just like this. Nobody heard it. All right. So this week, not too bad until you get into the end of the week. We got FOMC members talking. We'll see, obviously, how that plays out, or what type of weight that carries that they pick and choose. Tuesday, pretty much clear. A 10-year bond auction coming in at 1. It's funny how they do that at 101. But Thursday, CPI month over month, year over year, core CPI month over month, unemployment claims. I am looking at the right one, right? Okay. Whew. About to say, felt like last week. Yo, I forget that when you guys are watching it, my little plug mouth is talking. That's actually what it looked like in real life. So what you guys see on TikTok is an AI. All right. Core PPI month over month. PPI over month, excuse me, and preliminary University of Michigan consumer sentiment and inflation expectations to finish the Friday. And then as far as, and I'm going to actually pull it up on a different site. I used to use, and I think I got in the habit of doing it, but I used to use, what was it called? I used to use StockTwits to look at earnings, but I'm not so much of a fan of that anymore, just because the way that they used to categorize the earnings stocks was by weight, and I really, really liked that a lot. But let me pull this up really quick. All right. Yep, there. So here is a better look at this week. I'm just looking at Earnings Whisper. I like them, obviously. Looks pretty cool. So Monday, not really before the bell, some randos. But we do have things like Chegg, Lucid, Palantir, Rivian, UPS, AMC, Twilio, Datadog might be relatively interesting. Data's been really, really hot. Actually, I'm curious to go look at that stock. I might chart that one tonight. Windy, Sony, Roblox, Plug Power. I think we might. I don't know what. Actually, let me not say anything. One of you guys are gonna go too hard on that. Baba. Some notable ones this week. And that is about it, my friends. I think as far as the top ones, PLTR, Disney, Baba, Rivian, AMC, Upstart, UPS, Lucid, Plug, Twilio. Yes, Sony, I guess. I'm in equity on Sony, so I'm in for the long haul on that one. I am I am net red on Sony. That's okay. Oh. I got rejected at cost basis. I took it at the floor, and it's in my TOS count. I said, and by the way, inverse head and shoulders my ass, right? If you went off of that. All right, so I want to get into the watch list this week. As you guys well know, Tesla weekly. I think this is important to remember because while we do have some bearish signs, that does not mean we are bears. Although it is very likely if we see a gap down, that we will be in this box. And that probably is going to imply quite a bit. And I think the first thing that implies is that we're going to see the 240s. Now, one thing that I think may change that, and watch as we step down this chart, okay, daily, and I kind of deleted everything. But one thing that was, here, we'll go ahead and freshen it up. So one thing that we saw last week, of course, was the jump down, the use of resistance, this previous resistance as cost basis within this area of consolidation. But finally, obviously, we saw a gap up to resistance. That can't happen, right? We don't like seeing that. And we finally dropped down. Now, more specifically, on the 4-hour, where this is already kind of set up here, you'll have to forgive the extra stuff. I had a few lessons this weekend. And there we go. Yeah, so interestingly enough, and this bleeds into what I just said about the weekly, we ended up closing, yes, below cost basis. And I am, as of right now, expecting Tesla to move down close to, if not around the 245 level. We did, however, close at this little box's cost basis, which is why I had the price target of 553 on Friday when we took that short, and that one ended up playing out really, really nice. But we've got 1, 2, and then overhead, obviously this isn't really counting much, but 1, 2, 3, and then you got your fourth right there, coming off of this sell wall. So my thoughts on Tesla is, as of right now, we should be somewhere around this mark. But if, okay, and I'm going to show you again, we're going to step down. Elon Musty, welcome, and hilarious. I love that. All right, so we are at cost basis, right? Which, if we gap down underneath it, then we should have no problems reaching down immediately. And I'm not really too worried about 250. I'm more or less concerned about this floor or wall around the 248 and 249 level, which is, of course, in confluence with our projected support, the control that we dropped into. And then it would also provide our low. But anyway, the hourly, okay, and this is, I was kind of moving things around. As of right now, I don't like to stretch things too much. I did have it kind of sitting like this, where support was coming off of that. But obviously, there's some things that just that don't line up necessarily. So I think, and rather than guessing, right, there's sometimes it's better just to drop analysis rather than just sit there and burn yourself out trying to figure out what's going on. We can just wait for the open, right? Because we have beautiful structure. And I think those of you guys who are looking for a day trade on Tesla, this should provide some decent volatility. And one of the things that I am thinking is if this is it, right? And it's not like there isn't enough confluence, right? We do end up having the gap up, and then you fall back into the channel where you see a really, really extreme move down. So it is possible. Okay, and because you're on cost basis, the way that you break that daily or make that low on the daily, that's not guaranteed, right? There's multiple ways that can happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if we open up with some Monday price action and potentially, and that's going to depend all on where we open. Okay, we open on cost basis or at resistance, right? Say we gap up. If we're at resistance, expect a gap fill, bounce, and probably a chop your life away, and that's how that's typically is set up. But if we open up, say maybe in between the two, gap fill, and then we bounce off of where buyers go, we could be looking up, and yes, we might look for another retest somewhere around that 162 area. That was terrifying. My children are in the background, or might be in the background here, so don't let it terrify you. Otherwise, again, the channels always come second. So if we're underneath, and we are moving down, and I've got price targets for that. So Tesla, I think, and we had an amazing play. Obviously, these are we can do all this planning. This is what you should be doing. But then obviously, we had the intraday channel that we ended up trading in, and the price target of that 253. I hopped on live. I alerted you guys. So make sure, if you guys are new, I did a Discord tour. That doesn't sound right anyway. You say Discord tour. Yeah. Anyway, that breaks me a little bit. Yeah, more of the things that I showed you guys at the end was basically how to shut off different channels, stuff like that. I think I can. There we go. Whatever. So I don't think enough people know this, but you should, right? If you don't, you can go to Browse Channels and literally select the channels that you don't want to see. So obviously, we don't need to see welcome. These are things that I'm looking at. But make sure you have announcements. And that's where I alerted that I was live. I had a couple of people. The reason I'm doing this is because I had a couple of people DM me. And they were like, how do I know that you were going live, or I missed the play? But I did explain why and how, and I just clipped that video. We ended up taking that trade. I know a lot of you guys in here were able to make some good loot. Cactus King, you have a question? You can type in Potter chat, by the way, if you want. Once I get done, I will hold on one second. Punchbacks can be fulfilled with the wick, yes. So again, punchbacks guarantee new highs, and that may not come in the way that you want, right? With plug, it ended up, and I knew that we had to get past 1350. We didn't even quite get there, but we did make the most insignificant new high. So, no question. That's all right. I used to raise my hand in school for no reason either. It's kind of good exercise. So anyway, back to the watch list. Tesla, I'm thinking we move down. We abide by the trend that we've dropped into and the punchback we came up with. Sellers are currently in control. Now, if we decide to chop up here longer, then maybe we get an even bigger dump. But we shall see. Now, all right. So, I want to talk about GPS. This is Peyton's play. Shout out to Peyton. So if it goes down the drain, you guys can talk to her. Weekly closed outside of the sell wall, but still underneath one of them. Not necessarily what I wanted to see. It is a good setup, guys. She just happened to, be there. And we are also at resistance, okay? And we did, in the worst way possible, close a red poo-poo candle against the market on top of that floor. So we might be creeping up into this cost basis mark I have right around that $11. So I'll be looking for GPS. Don't be surprised if they come up with some news or something like that. I don't know. Sometimes when I see these type of setups, again, I don't mind, and I just want to let everybody know, if you're in this is really, really simple. If you watch this back, these are the marks that you can kind of look for. If a candle closes back inside of the box, hedges are incredibly cheap. Okay, if it's below that box, just a couple of places that you will go. Okay, you will go here. Do I still think it's bullish as of right now? Yes. And until it really closes back in the box underneath it, it can oscillate within there and then take off. And that, honestly, if it goes sideways and the market goes south, we can cup. Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm still struggling with the tail end of the lung thing. Yeah, if you guys want, I guess you guys want just one per person. Maybe we get news from No, wait, when did that come in? August 5th? Yesterday? All right, I promise I didn't read that. You know, I'm not. Peyton didn't tell me that either. Target light warranty. Okay. All right. Bullish. Yeah, I have no idea either. It's just a chart. Chart looks good. Bullish. Yeah. Well, the chart says bullish, and we got, I mean, technically, we have one punch back, right, in the whole box. We're just looking for this trigger right here. That's what's going to send us up and out, right? Here, you don't have that. You don't have anything to grab. But here, you got something to grab onto, and it's strong enough to rip your ass back up. So, GPS still long, and we're probably gonna be. Listen, this might turn into next year. We're fucking around with the tail end of this shit. You know, I was looking at the weekly, and I was looking at the daily. You guys know I like gaps, and I know that. Nice. But you guys know that those are places that I like to target, and that's a big gap on gap, and I would like to fill that gap. So that's what my brokerage said. All right. 1 second. Need to have my watch list here. All right. I'm gonna go through Plug really quick. It has earnings. It's probably gonna die. It does have a giant gap underneath it, and I love it, but I don't know what they're gonna do to it on earnings, but more than likely we're going to be stuck, I would imagine, in this range. Chart still looks good. Maybe we come back down to support. I think that the only problem with that is that would imply that unless I'm off, and I could be off on the chart, but that would imply that we'd make a new low. And I guess that could happen. You could make a new low and still close that candle on top. And again, you know, maybe I need to rework my chart or something like that on Plug. I haven't really touched it in a minute, but it is got earnings this week, so I am still watching it. And I asked you guys to do a little bit of NEO work, and some of you guys answered the call. So I want to talk about that a little bit. Maybe. Yeah, so, you know, Ben obviously posted his. Love the chart as far as it does look like that you're not using after hours data, but that higher time frame chart that you posted on the weekly was absolutely wonderful. I think you did a great job on that. And I think if you look at that chart, what that implies, right, is that we're not quite yet bearish. You know, it might be worth hedging NEO, but we did hit cost basis, and that, again, the whole week could be spent finding. And actually, so you guys, this is a pretty cool play, because if we end up nailing a high probability trade with maybe some shorter expiration trade, you know, maybe use a little less risk. Obviously, we know that these can be pretty lucrative, so we don't have to throw BK. What the? So we don't have to throw everything at this, but underneath what I'm perceiving as cost basis, which is 14.15, it is possible that we end up punching down. We didn't make a new high. We didn't close outside of that box, and that's one reason that we could just chop. But typically, you're going to go pull back, and you're going to go tap off of something bullish. And remember, there is also a cost basis here, right? That's what initially got us up and out. And I still see more upside for Neo. I just think that whether we do really for some reason, guys, I think that they're going to jerk us down maybe Monday and Tuesday, and then I feel like we're going to go right back up. And again, that's a feeling. Nobody makes money with their feelings, and if they do, they're going to lose it all with the next feeling that they have, and they're going to have feelings about that. So anyway, still get ready maybe for a little bit of sideways action, right? If this is truly Neo climbing from the depths of hell, right, to recover gaps that we have all the way at $27, then obviously there's going to be some things that have to be broken and held on to, and one of them is this. So even if you do, right, come back down and bounce, even if this candle opens, we just really don't want to end up back in this range. Sorry, I'm getting distracted here. Well, want to call me? But yeah, feeling like we might see, and that's why I've seen a lot of small stocks, small caps, stay in their ranges, while bigger caps fell, right? Giving bigger caps kind of like taking some pressure off of them. But again, the charts, if you look at Tesla, like, yeah, obviously there's the weekly, and daily that possibly have us climbing even further to the downside. Even that could be limited, and we've talked about that on the 4-hour with this channel. It is possible that you open up that candle, make a small new low, and then we're right back up and at them. So, but we'll play that day by day. All right, so we got Plug, GPS, Tesla, and I got a couple of things. I mean, there's Tupperware and stuff like that. Obviously, it's not something that I'm super duper focused on. I did want to talk about MMM, and one of the reasons why is obviously that didn't work. But it's still coming. We talked about the fact that obviously with the new high that we were going to, what the fuck did I do over here? We talked about the fact that if it did come back down, right, wouldn't be a terrible thing. And we had a little cost basis and floor 1, 2, 3. So I don't think that, I think that if we end up either A, bouncing where we're at and recovering the cost basis of 109.70, that we should be looking at a nice move up into this structure. But honestly, the longer or the further that we go down and kind of curl up, right, just timing wise, opens us up for the price targets higher, obviously. So if we were to just jump here and climb based on resistance, based on the structure that we're running in, we really wouldn't offer that much. But on the daily and the weekly, the stock is just torn up. So 259 all the way down to $93. Bonkers. I will say that weekly candle did close. That's why I'm thinking that we might end up seeing a little bit more downside, and at least down to that 102. So, alrighty. Am I on the daily time frame? If for Neo, yeah, that was the daily. Alrighty. So that's really it from me. If you guys have any questions on those charts, obviously, one of the things that once I have my chart set up the way that I do, Tesla is going to be the number one thing that I'm trading. It has a decent enough setup. But if you guys have anything that you get, sorry, my dog was just nipping my feet. But if you guys have anything that you guys want me to take a look at, you guys can go ahead and post that in the Potter chat or trade chat if you're a free member or a Sybil stacker. And again, remember, give me some context. What exactly are you trying to accomplish, or what exactly do you see? And we'll see if we can't find that. So just a quick Tupperware update. It is on top of that structure, and look at the short volume. I actually think this one might rip more, but who knows? It's got a crazy setup. And again, equity for me. I know a lot of you guys might hit options, but it's just easy to just keep scooping. All right, so I'm going to start with obviously, if you're a member of the Discord, type in trade chat if you don't mind, and let me know what you want me to take a look at. NVIDIA? Cool. All right, well, let's look at the weekly let's just establish what NVIDIA's got. So close, look, staying with the close. You haven't lost anything. Obviously, you can see a nice little right there. I wonder. Those can be context clues sometimes, but that can also just be weak selling pressure. They just keep trying to tap that thing down. Under here, right? Oop, oop. So just a nice compression there. Obviously, you came off of that just a little bit higher, that 334. So I think as of right now, as long as you stay above that, you're still bullish. Move down to the daily. There's not really much to update there. Now, I will say I did a bang up job on the analysis that I did. I think it was right in here. It was before this trend even occurred, and that played out really well. So now this is bearish, right? Typically, when you bounce, you're gonna hold yourself up, not doing such a great job. But I tell you what, it has if you just stay calm and you just stick to this chart, I think, obviously there is always possible bounces at cost basis forever. That, in fact, you should always expect it to bounce, but that doesn't mean breaking into this structure and seeing that and this is the daily. We'll go break it down a little bit further, but I can tell you what I already see. I see a multitude, and again, we can't go off of what we see on the daily. We're getting the most important, right? That's important, right? Because we see a ton of price. This, we're going to have to dive a little bit deeper, right? But we want to establish, where does a candle close? Does any one of those close underneath? Nope, right? So what is that? Right? So that's probably, oh man, that's pretty interesting. So that's sellers trying to keep you under, and then one open right above that, right on that line, and you get an explosive move to the upside. So that's going to probably be stacked boxes to the downside. But that's what you're doing on the daily. Obviously, trying to establish what is the most important. This is a trend. Obviously, you're still in it. Let me see if I think I may need to be a little bit fatter. Cool. So it looks like if I drop a line right on those wicks, which is going to be cost, look at that. So it is possible that you could bounce and stay in trend, maybe curl back up, right? But you do have the 1, 2, 3. So I would go ahead, make sure that you either open a candle underneath, or say even gap up and then reject, close back down below. But as long as you're right above that, it's still possible that you're bullish, or you can still hold yourself up. Now, move it down to the 4 hour. And I think this is where we're going to get rid of the channel, right? We don't really need that. I'm going to get rid of some of the excess stuff that's just floating around. Cool. So this is why we don't just use channels, but this is why we use them both, right? Even if you were bullish, you would know that you would have had to reclaim that floor. And I'm telling you what, the fact that there's a gap right there just tells me that we're going back up at some point. But Let's see. Okay, well, chart's a little bit off here. Okay. I'm gonna have to zoom down even more. Let me go to the 2 hour really quick. I need to figure out what this thing is, or where the wall is rather. Okay, that's my wall. Interesting. So you almost get an attempted build out there, but that is the wall. Okay, cool. That's all I wanted to know. So I zoom down, find that, make sure that makes sense. That makes sense. That's my sellers. Now, cost basis is going to be right there. You built structure all over it, and it looks like you gave a half-hearted attempt in hitting resistance, but you built a box or a small lower time frame structure, and most of this looks like it's pre-market. Drop back down, and you've retested. So I think going into next week, bam. Sellers close their candle there, or their wicks there. So I would say if you lose or you drop back into this, that's when things might end up turning bearish. But ultimately, right here, oh man, that's crazy. Yeah, that's 428.30. You're gonna see this channel collapse. Okay, and this uptrend that we've established is going to be, I'm sure, fully out of commission. Here, let's do a little bit of back testing on that. So you're, for all intents and purposes, just barely hanging on. Okay, so if you open, let me say this. Remember, I think what's going to matter a lot is where you open, right? If you open up in this range, staying in range, then I would be careful about taking any downside moves until you get solid candle, because trust me, if it's going to come down, and if you stop shorting uptrends, right? Stop shorting them, and you'll stop losing money. But let that candle establish itself down below, unless you get a distinctive gap down, and I would assume the gap down will be to 434, and then you'll gap fill, and then you'll goof around in this area. Again, people are going to assume that it's going to keep going, and then it'll probably get yanked back down. So the long entry, I would be long as soon as the candle opens up where those didn't. 452, what is that, 75? Yeah, 10 cents off. Mine's better though. No shame. But yeah, you got it. Exactly. Good job, Alex. You deserve that smirk. You've put in the work, man. You really have. Dude, don't make me. I could send you that first message, bro. You've come a long way. You should be super proud of yourself. All right. So I guess the question is, what exactly are you looking for on the video? BK, were you short? Are you long? Are you just looking to take a position? Do you have your own chart on that one? Okay. I have one last thing to add. You guys ready for this? Yeah, I'm ready for this. So, I'm sure some of you who know, you guys probably know what I'm going to say. That is a separate high. Right? Which gives, is it? Oh, you know what? Before I say that, let me do the 15-minute before. All right, cool. So we can always do that and make sure that we're right. So, and honestly, I will say that the 15-minute might be your best bet when you're taking intraday trades. Because, and the reason why, some of you might be able to see this too, you want to talk about abiding by, right? This thing has boxes galore. Look at that punchback right there. Oh, man. New high, cost basis retest right there. So where are you at right now? Here, you know what? Let's do the 15-minute. Now that I have this. So that's buyers, that's sellers. So that's separate, right? So box. Let's build this together. That's buyers. That's sellers. And that's cost basis. That's a box. Come on, motherfucker. Wall is... Looks like the wall is right there. This looks like Tesla, doesn't it? It's just like Tesla. I don't know why, but I don't like it. It's not as cool. Yeah, I think that's exhausted. Okay, yeah, you know what? You're building a box on an at cost basis, which is showing indecision. Moving back back to the 15 or after hours. Obviously, it looks like you're more or less going to close below that. So it may be, I don't know, kind of thinking that we might get that gap down there into that structure below. But if I was long, I would be looking for a reclaim of 251 from here or from the bounce on cost basis. And again, you can use all this structure. If you were to bounce there, you could fucking use this 447 break and then take 451 and then go fill that gap. So there's plenty there. There's a lot there that you can use. Look at this. Fucking A. Let's see. Oh, no way. Weird. Okay. I didn't see that. That's hard to see. Interesting. That's a separate tiny ass little box. Totally separate. Hence the rejection there. So I would use that too. That pre-market structure right there. So there's plenty there to take that both long and short. It obviously now I feel it doesn't necessarily go long. You closed below cost basis. So all right, I think that's it on the video. Hopefully, isn't that what you would call rising? No, rising wedge is in an uptrend. This would be a falling. No, there's one that goes up. Well, I guess I don't know. It really doesn't matter. But I guess maybe I'm sure people will call that a bear flag. A wedge usually has a bigger mouth. You're going to be like more, dealing with, I don't know what I just did, but more dealing with like that, which is not what that is. So I think that's just a channel. All right. I wanted to compare charts earning on the 23rd. Yeah. And you know what I would be looking at is one final check because listen, I feel like they're not going to give. I mean, what's the difference between last earnings and this earnings? You know, did they something fucking crazy happen? I doubt it, but man, let's see. So I'm gonna do this. I like to start from the lows, and I do consider this a new trend, being that it has like the mouth, quintessential mouth, and I don't mind charting it like that. And when I get it like that, obviously there's a lot of empty space in here, and what it leads me to think is, if it didn't go well, that you would just be able to say, once you lose this, median there, which obviously this has some tightening or some widening that could possibly be done, but yeah, I guess it's gonna be like that. So yeah, I would say even dropping into that box, 435, you're more than likely going to clear. And here's the interesting thing: this is yeah, you know what? This is. I could definitely see this thing dropping down somewhere in here. This is not a ton of volume, right? That's just going to add to that downside move. And if you look at that, like you have double triggers. So if you break one cost basis, you're going to break two cost bases. You're going to break three cost bases, and then you're probably going to hit that or the cost basis mark within that. If it's a hellacious drop on earnings. So. Or after earnings, maybe they gap down underneath that. But I think after earnings, because they're probably not going to give people what they want option wise, I might be looking at a yeah, I don't know why, but that would be my target there. And then who the fuck knows? The short volume isn't nearly as crazy as it was, but it does look like sellers are kind of in control at the moment. So I would say that if they keep it in here, 500, baby. If they keep it in here, earnings go burr, I think. All right. The next one that I had was Datadog, which that was one that I wanted to take a look at for earnings on the weekly, because this could be something. Oh no. Oh no. Oh man, this is a pretty chart though, right? I mean, just cool in terms of structure. I like that. Cool. All right. So where are we bullish? Obviously, anything above this is good. Staying in this range is decent. How's my floor? Maybe am I off here? Let's zoom in. I'm being lazy. Candle close, candle close, candle close, candle close, candle close, candle close. Lazy. Come on. 101 cost basis. Beautiful. Gotcha. Bam. Boom. Not quite. Okay, so what do we got next? Nice sell wall there. Looks like you're building some sort of box in there as well. You got your little punch back. You got you a punch back. And in retrospect to the new high, just like you did there, you got a new high. And so I mean, what is earnings is on the, where are you at, data? Tuesday, before the open. So okay, that's one day. I say stay above 101, or if you drop to 101, or say like you don't move at all. I like that you're on top of the, or kind of on top of that floor, that you're not quite below it, because I mean, oh man, yeah, there's one right there. You're not too far away, and I guess that's good that you're going into earnings as close as you are. No, it's right there. So that's where that big wick comes off of. So I say get above 120, and Datadog has upward potential for sure. Now I gotta delete all of that. So, all right, let's see what we got here. I think I can do a little bit more work on the daily here. All right, I'm gonna try and speed it up, guys. I know you guys have things to do. So that's suspicious, huh? Awful weird how that's worked out. And oh man, that's that's real weird. That's even weirder. Wow, that looks perfectly orchestrated. All right. So again, the wall where sellers grab things, and it's right there. And I guess we could no, you don't get a well, I guess you get a punch back there, but it's ugly. Yeah, that's it right there. So we'll give it the floor. All right, so there's your floor. There's your ceiling. You've got, I think, everything you need to know about where you need to be is right there. So 125. 125, and I'm going to assume that Datadog has done something great. And who knows, you might, that might spur volume in this area where, I mean, you have, I think, already seen a swift decline, but I wouldn't be mad at a, and I guess, there is some differences on the chart a little bit in terms of from the weekly to here. Yeah, hold on. Let me, I don't want to move on and just have it be weird like that. So why, you don't really typically test 75% marks. So let's bring that up. Let's double check my work. So the reason I try and do this is to show you guys, if you're going through the analysis and the story's starting to not add up, then you probably should go back down and look. There's a little box in there. All right, so notice the candles refusing to close there. Right, now you do get a dip down. When you dip down, you finally rip back up. And after enough oscillations in one box, right, you don't need a punch back. Although, this obviously goes to fill a gap. And these both are individual lows. You don't necessarily tap that one. So let me drop this line there. And that doesn't really feel good either. I mean, that does look like cost basis underneath you. So it's almost like putting volume down there for cost basis. I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm going to go ahead and say that 88. So 88 is my floor. 88.13, and then cost basis there. So I don't think it needs any other further analysis. All I think at this point is that you're more than likely going to drop either A to 101.87, or maybe this is just obviously consolidation. The weekly, daily is probably going to look a little bit different in that, but you might see yourself down to 101 or to that 98.50. And I think as long as you're doing that, you're bullish. And then the last step here, you guys know what this is to try to establish perhaps where or what uptrend looks like. Hold on one second. Yeah, that would be a way to play cost basis run runner. So if you're a bounce trader, which is just somebody who is absolutely badass when it comes to cutting when they know they have to. If you prematurely just say, all right, we hit 90, I would say at this point, I'd probably bounce it at 100. And again, you can't play contracts just off the weekly, right? You can't do that. You can't just say I'm going to play a weekly, bounce off of. It would more likely bounce on the daily or the 4 hour, and then it'd be too late, whatever. So cost basis will always bounce, and when you buy that bounce, that's it, right? Cost basis typically will always bounce. The only thing that will, and that's the first cost basis that you hit, like when you come back down, right? That's not like with Tesla, like when we took that trade to the downside, right? When we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cost bases all on a lower time frame. Hence why, because what I was explaining earlier is each time you break one coming down, unload shares, right? That's driving you down. Unload shares. Wait, hold on. Yeah, unload shares. It's a chain reaction. But the first time you come down, right? You even here, right? Bounce off cost basis the first time, head up, then you flush through, right? Then you end up hitting, you ended up hitting a cost basis below you as well. So you ended up hitting this cost basis, bouncing. So it's a not just a black and white thing. It is, sometimes there are discrepancies with that, but and I'm gonna tell you guys, like, if you can't get rid of the gambling itch, and you got your little Webull account, you can still be. That's something to look for. That is something to look for. Look for those stacked boxes, and be able to tell a story, like the chain reactions that come after that. All right, so last thing here. Again, I wouldn't be looking at day trading it, but this is kind of what I would want to see. So this was a cost basis, little tiny area of consolidation, right? Looks like you make a low, pop back through, close up at a high. This is where I would see the bounce, right? That's where I would assume we would see a bounce. It looks like it really bounced really close to that. So on earnings, if you just drop, and personally, if you drop and open at 99, that's not going to be that great. You may end up dropping down and bouncing and closing up there, but it's not great to just close at it. I would rather decline right after earnings and then bounce. I think that'd be better. So, all right. Poco. Yeah, but if CNBC is telling people to not invest in something, no, I'm just kidding. All right, guys, I'm moving along here. RWN, RNW. And, if you guys ever have, a chart and it ends up playing out, off of my analysis, shoot me a DM or show me that recap. Those are things that, I can clip or even put in the educational channel, for recap analysis, stuff like that. So, or gloating, whatever you want to call it. All right. That's kind of nutty. Okay. Can't fool me. Can't fool me. Ain't no downtrend there, buddy. Maybe. I don't know. Look at that, though. That's wild. Explosion. It looks like you have... Look at that. Even on the shittiest of stocks, you can still find it. So it looks like you're holding on to cost basis. Now, there's a lot going on here. It looks like your floor is your cost basis. And it almost appears, rather, that the cost basis mark that I'm highlighting. So I noticed that there's no candle closes in there. So I think this is slightly off. I think there's a... Yeah, you got a lot of volume in that motherfucker. So 75% mark. So right there. Interesting. All right. Now, obviously, you know how I feel about stocks like this, but from what I can tell, uh, if you're bullish, you know, or looking to climb to the upside, exactly where you closed and kind of rejected off of was exactly what you need to go and reclaim. And that's just another box above you. And it looks, you know, just off a glimpse here, that the cost basis is probably going to lead you near or at resistance. And it doesn't look like this thing takes the most strategic route. It does look like it's probably going to do something, you know, along those lines. So, but yeah, obviously, you know, weird chart. Hold on one second. I want to see something. Nah. All right. Just looking. Alrighty. Earnings are going to be brutal on PLTR. Why is that? Well, if you're long, how are you long? How are you long? This is what you see. That was Datadog. Lower time frame. I like it. So I don't know what that is, but I do like that on the daily. Although the top of your box looks a little bit wide on the resistance one, try and bring that box down to where those candles close, or at least the wicks. All right. All right, Matt. I'm gonna make sure I get everybody first, and then I'll come back to that second request of yours. All right, SPY. I pretty much already have this one charted. If you guys have anything else that you want me to take a look at, go ahead and start dropping those down there. Because I'm gonna go ahead and close out for the night. Yeah, I'm gonna. Oh, guys, I'm not shutting it down. I'm just. I just got done with the people in trade chat. I'm working through this one as well, so you guys are good. So this is SPY. I'm feeling pretty good about my analysis on this one. Now, this is one reason that I feel slightly bearish temporarily, but also here's the backup analysis on why I feel we could see a big old bounce, right? And I know I have this little goofy shit right here. I was just projecting, all right? I'm a goofy motherfucker sometimes. All right. Nice time to walk in, Peyton. Good timing. All right. So yeah, channel trend. I have my discrepancies with the chart, but as of right now, structurally, it is sound. Beautiful points of contact. Everything looks good. Now, this can extend, and one place that I have thought and considered multiple times that we could see that extension was, and this is why I'm not banking on the channel to give me my analysis, but rather the boxes. I think that it starts up here, and now this thing won't move, so there we go. So I think that it starts there, and that, oh yeah, that's kind of what I think. That we're gonna bounce. Oh my god, I feel like Jimmy Neutron right now, having a brain blast. Yeah, so here's why I think we bounce. If you look left, box, right, and the candle closes on that box are right around there, and so that's just the 75, or right around that 75% mark in that box, but it lines up with cost basis, right? So we may just make a doji here, but I think if you want to know whether SPY is going to go back up or not, we're just going to have to simply get past this big old yellow line, which is 450, right? Wick, candle close, new low, candle close, low, right? So we just got a candle close in here, so we got to get the hell out of here. And I think that if there is any other pullbacks, Yeah, probably going to need to happen off of 440.60, and that's it. If we end up breaking through that, then we may end up seeing, honestly, we could end up going and being back down at that 416 mark when it's all said and done, and then climb right back up. We could spend the next 4 weeks looking like that. It's nice big bullish, bull. So we might have one of those in store too, and who knows? Maybe we go and retest, but I'm still bullish and until this trend is broken on SPY. All right. Excuse me. All right. Yeah, so let's do PLTR. So I actually ended up taking a little bit of profit off of this one, and I've been holding since I started buying PLTR. I think I actually bought it right before it dumped, which is kind of hurtful. But I actually have fundamental reasons that I think it's worth accumulating. So short-term profits, but guys, this one played out pretty freaking good, and I would suspect, right, with something that's lacking a catalyst above it, right, because we were able to break through certain things that acted as catalysts, and imbalances, I think, is also what's super important. But the floor, right? So we ended up going up here. I think we, really didn't even. Yeah, so right there off those wicks, literally off of that wick, the body of that floor, or that floor is right here. So you hardly even made it up there. You closed under that candle. So check that out. See where that wick goes up and you pull back down. So you just kind of poofed up, tried to hang on, because this would have been bullish enough, right? Just to hang on to that $19 mark, and you were unable to do it. So this is something that's leading me to believe that PLTR is going to head back down and probably go find some buyers to the downside. And I think there's probably going to be some sort of catalyst to the downside that we can find here on the daily. Cool, so you did get a punch back. And then you rejected that box. Makes sense. And so now you've pulled back to the very same mark. And that's why you have those giant wicks off of it. So where are buyers? Oof. Just got a cramp in my neck. Ouch. Oh. All right. So first of all, sellers grab hold of shit at $18, and you closed underneath it, so you're definitely in sell city, right? It also looks like sellers are grabby right there. Interesting. So you got like a tiny ass little box here. From what I can tell, you should be back down at 1690, but it doesn't. Obviously, I can't tell you whether you're going to go and break. I do see that there is a box here. If there's a box, there's a cost basis, and if it breaks, it's going to do what it does, and that's going to drive you just slightly lower into this 1550. And I think that's where, obviously looking left, you can see that there's a space, right, at 1550. Our $15 is cost basis. 1550 is the resistance, that you would need to hold. Actually, so take a look at that. Yeah, that 1620 mark right there is actually, so I can see now that is basically cost basis right here. So I say that if you do break below, just slightly below that 1675, 1680, that you're going to trigger that cost basis, and that thing's going to drive you into the 15.50 and $15 mark. The only way that this could be changed is if the close was exaggerated and they gap it back up, above $19, which would be tough to do. But yeah, right as of right now, unless I'm off somehow, I don't think I am. Tell you what, anytime I see wicks like that, I always a little suspicious, but. Huh. Okay. You know what? That doesn't change anything. All that does is just make me think that 17 and set that 1780 or 1685 are places to bounce if they break, the channel's broken. But that's hard to ignore. So still looks like there's more upside though. Seriously, I would set alerts to the upside for sure. All right. Okay. Yeah, no problem. TS. Wow. Okay, so wow. Hold on 1 second. Hey Google, turn the kids' lights off and...
Sorry, it looks like those lights haven't been set up yet.
What?
You can do that in assistant settings.
Oh my god. That's not what I said. And they definitely have been set up. Hold on 1 second. I gotta tell my kids that it's time for bed. Hey kiddos, I want both of you. Ayo, you need to go brush your teeth. Ellie, you need to go get your nighties on. You guys need to go ahead and get ready for bed, okay? I'm going to be coming out here in just a second to help you guys get ready, okay? We got a whole new week of school tomorrow. We got to be all prepared and organized so we feel good going to school, okay? All right. Ayo, go ahead and get it started, okay? Get it done and you'll have extra time. You don't have to move, sweet baby. You sleeping? All right. So with TS, crazy chart, man. I don't know where the hell you find these things. I'm sure you have your ways. So I mean, the way that I see it, the way that it looks to me, and I'm just trying to decide on the sell. Yeah, we'll go ahead and just leave the wicks in there. And then tough. Oof. Okay. So you did you've done enough to kind of hold on to your bullishness, whatever. If you look right here, and I know you can't see this, but this is being recorded. There is a 3276 floor, right? That's trying to kind of be upheld. I think that's useful. Obviously, that was that wick from, this is the weekly, mind you, from last week, or 2 weeks ago. So I'm going to assume that you either A are going to continue to consolidate, but let's move to the daily. All right, so the daily, and this is with the after hours data. And again, if I need to change it, I'm going to change it, period, right? So our job is to find buyers and sellers with some consistency. These are the levels from the weekly. They're going to have to be adjusted if they're not correct. So obviously there is structure within that, but it's definitely very clear that this is a wall, right? Now, where do buyers come from? So we do see some buys down here, and that looks like it's 32.14. We can kind of move this stuff out of the way, see where that lands. Let me there it is. So we'll go with that bounce. There. Okay. That's it. So that is basically $32. It could be, yeah. Definitely strong uptrend right now. And honestly, with this giant volume block here, punching through something like that would be downright incredible, right? So let's go ahead and box it out, right? And sometimes, right, if we have our linear lines, you're okay with, well, you can use your channels, right? It's the same thing. And that will sometimes help you find your floor. So, or find your cost basis rather. All right, so looks like you wicked off of something. Okay, you got a little boing bounce right there. That's 1, 2, 3. There's something going on in here, and it's hard to see exactly. But I see this, right? I see this little box right there. Interesting, adding volume to that. Nice, cool stuff, man. All right, so there's obviously, got you. Okay, I got it. I think the bounce is there. It's hard to tell with those daily candles, but it looks like you got a box right there. That's a bounce. We'll go and look a little bit lower. So anyway, you've got the 32. You bounced back up, and it looks like your close was. Let's see if it was anywhere of value. Sellers, buyers, might have a cost basis there as well. So it looks like you're at a place where the stock likes to hold, but my God, is that not a shitty candle? Short volume is rising. Don't know why. You'll have to figure that one out. Now let's move down. And looks like everything's relatively clean, but you notice that that didn't really line up that well. I'm gonna, oh, no. I'm gonna move that down to the body candle closes, which is there. And that should give me a more accurate model. Yep, cost basis there. Okay, now second part of this is, what do you got here? So this might be where it's going to be a little bit tougher to just kind of be like super confident in what the level is, but I mean, it does look really, it looks clearly like you punched back into the box, rejected cost basis at 33.14. So right now, don't go, you can and should honestly maybe go fill your gap. And then one last thing before I give any further analysis. Cool, so you've also reclaimed a channel. And I think that's worth noting as well. So yeah, punch back, and that should lead you up to the top at 35. So stop loss for me would be 31.95. You know, maybe 31.45. You know, honestly, you would not want to. If you've owned it for 2 years, it might not be that bad. But you do have a lot of short volume, so if they bounce that gap, it might be a good play. Good looking chart. All right. And ENPH. Wow, look Look at that. What's that? It's a punchback. I don't know when I talked about this, but it had to have been right here because I boxed that out. I know there's someone in here who asked me about PLTR a lot, so, or about this one a lot. So let's look at the weekly. Holy shit. Alright, well this, that's not fucking real either. Oh, it might be time. No, why did you do that? Why are you coming? Why are you doing this to me? No. No. See, I don't like that either. Kind of like that first low, but that was just convenient, right? We don't want to go with... It doesn't line up. God, dog, dude. That is... wild. Alright, so boxes first. Obviously. Slapped. Obviously, new high always before a new low. Punch back. Is there anything that's going to save this? I honestly don't think that you should come back down, but that low. Let's go to the daily. All right, I'm done trying to find it. I'm not going to spend time doing that. So what I am going to do is I am going to go with whatever's happened recently has taken control of the price action, and so that's what I'm going to focus on. There's a lot of price levels here, so that I don't associate or know anything about yet. All right. So it looks like, you obviously lost control of this channel at one point, reclaimed it. I don't know if that was earnings, short volume screamed up. You did see a bump in that as well. I mean, what are you bouncing off of, I think is the question. What is this? Is it bounceable? I see bounce, bounce, break, rip. Not really much other than that. So this is what I would call, more or less a bit of a difficult chart in terms of where do you go now, right? Obviously, I mean, I think like second guessing yourself, this one maybe is a little bit confusing, but from what I can tell, I mean, this thing looks like it's going to go back down to 118. I mean, it broke cost basis. It already tried to bounce. This is where you should have recovered, and you didn't. So I say, looking at the chart now, being that you are, I mean, this should have saved you, that should have saved you, and none of them have. It looks as if 130 and the 118 levels are, I don't want to, I think I'm overthinking it in a way where it's just like, this probably is exactly what you think it is. It's probably going to get smoked, this is not something, this looks like something at the end of its road. I think the only thing that does line up on it is this. And everything that should have bounced, this is the only thing that has lined up, and that's a weekly fucking trend. So this thing, who knows, NFAs may be done for now. Seems hard to imagine, but maybe we see 103 and finally a bounce, or maybe down to 78. I think, maybe next week, if you can start reclaiming some boxes above you, Maybe you can turn the tide and maybe change the fortune here, but it looks rough. You are at a 75% mark in the box. That's the only hope, I think. Maybe 133 and 130 are two areas to watch. So, all right. Aline, are you in here? I was going to answer the question. She was. All right. Potter chat. Let's see. Thanks so much for charting it. Where are you guys from, Uncle Philly? Lord Swagmaster 420. All right. What else do we got? Did I miss anything? Disney. Disney was one that we're looking. MU. Yo. So, dude. Sorry. How do I release this frustration? The fucking people that I use to chart, which is, you know, partially whatever. Yeah, that's the kind of shit that we're seeing from them, but they're not the only one. They're not the only one. But goddamn, do they love wedges, and that's what they're calling for on Disney. Yeah, look at this shit. Tesla wedge. I mean, they are wedging any and everything they can out. Look at all these wedges. That's all they care about, and we know better. We know that wedges are channels. You can literally look at the chart and say, like, look, like right there, wick, body. There's obviously a channel. Ugh. Anyway, most retail is looking at this as a wedge. Again, I don't do the wedges. We know that we have trend, right? Trend is telling us at the moment, and we can do deviations, right? We're currently sitting on the floor, right? And I will say, typically you want to kind of push through the floor if you are going to go south, right? It's gonna be with some sort of emphasis in order to kind of like solidify that level is broken. So anytime you sit on a floor, it just doesn't really appease me. And then obviously, yeah, there's too much confluence right here with what the top of that trend would be. And even if it was a wedge, you would be starting from here and you would be running it, and that would lead you down to $75, right? Which is still executing a punch back to the downside. But as of right now, you're sitting on the floor. When you step down to the daily, this is where I really try and like figure out what the fuck is happening, rather than, you know, doing all that mess. So daily, you went back up. Look at this, guys. 50% mark. Cost basis, rejection. Buyers and sellers like the price. They don't. You get punched back down, and from what I can tell, just like everything else that punched down into its little structure, you stop there. If you gap up above cost basis, then maybe this could be an anomaly where you hop right back up. But this to me speaks for a gap down. Now, if you gap down to 84.34, get ready for a shit fest, and you're probably going to go and reclaim this floor, break this, So you might end up seeing a night, and this would make great squeeze material, or you can't squeeze Disney, but it would be a great way to disperse those shorts and drive this stock back up. And I'm telling you what, that's probably, or that's more than likely how they're going to do that. Is by making one solid attempt or gap down, and then that gap fill, and then screaming up from there. So I reclaim of the floor right there would be a great start. All right. All right. Anything else? Besides MU, sorry. Garbage. Hottest of the garbage. How's it going in here? What do you got going on here? So you got the cost basis. Fight. You're fighting at cost basis. Interesting. So 71.22 and $70. You've got a. No, we didn't. I must have missed that one. Gator Trader. That looks pretty good to me. You're missing after hours data. Obviously, that makes a difference. But if you don't have it, then yeah, for sure. Okay, so I think here's what we could focus on, right? Where'd you close? So you closed right here, which isn't necessarily bearish because you would have had to close in the arms of sellers at 69.11. You didn't. That is where you're going to go north or south, right? That's where you went. If you close below it, you're going to go underneath it, right? So that's where you have the cost basis and you have a lot of stackage, right? So you've gap filled already. You were unable to open back up. But I tell you what, this should be on a watch list because, yeah, I'd be fucking stupid long above 71.31. Open up again. Try me if you want to. The only contrarian thing that I would have to say is trend is tricky. Right? Starting from there, you might be looking at the opposite. So obviously we would need to find, so you have a punchback, right? That would occur. That would drive you lower. And then where would the bounce be? Oh. Where's the bounce, guys? Obviously, it's not going straight down. We can look at, so, cost basis, baby. That's 57.50. Look for a short on that bad boy. Make sure I don't forget about that one. I just wrote it down. Could be a fun short. All right. What we had Baba. So let's take a look at the Maba. I wouldn't be surprised if they did post some surprise, you know. But I tell you, why do I feel like we are going to get pullbacks and they're going to be gnarly and then they're like fast and gnarly and then we're going to be right back up to the upside. I don't know. I'm tripping balls. Let's drag that back. That's smooth. Smooth operator. Yeah, we'll keep it like that. Beast. Everything ended on cost basis, so gap down underneath cost basis. That's going to complete your punch back. Essentially, they faked you out on the gap. You could bounce, fill the gap, and then wick back down. But man, obviously earnings, I can't. That's different analysis, you know. Like for me, when I look at earnings, I look at like where are you at on the chart. You're at cost basis, so if fucking Baba does well and just one slight fucking move to the upside, insert liquidity, and you'll be up at the top. again, I don't think that, I think earnings is like that's all predetermined. Like they set that up. So anyway, 103, break to the upside, fill that gap. That's all I can. So anything above 103, and I'm saying long, and maybe, you know what? Don't look at that. I'll give you two projections. That's my thoughts. Gap down, curl, slow fill that gap, accumulate, run it up. Let me do one more thing. So, you know what? That wouldn't be terrible. If you could actually hold, oh, you know what? I have that off too. Look, so that's not where those candles close. That is 86.24. Look at the candle closers. Look at the bounce right there. So that, yeah, I think maybe Baba could gap down somewhere in that 86 range and then maybe curl it back up. I wonder if Chinese companies are going to come back and fill gaps and stuff, or we're just going to pink shoot the shit out of them. All right. Not going to happen. All right, VLO. All right, that one should be simple enough. The weekly kind of speaks for itself. Obviously, you're in a massive box. And you just basically cured yourself of any mechanism or mechanical breaks to the downside. All right, guys, a few more, and then I'm gonna go ahead and have to hop off here. It's bedtime. All right, so don't like this at all. And if you're good, you should be able to do it more than once, right? So obviously, there's some more. Yes. Remember Tesla when it reclaimed its trend? Fucking A, dude. I haven't done that in a minute. It looks like Tesla just pulled back into its trend. That's terrible. You better stay. Yeah, you know what? We better get our asses back up in there. I wonder. Sorry, make me wonder for the end of the line. So anyway, right? Also, I will say, preferably, this chart speaks volumes. Let's see, different on the weekly. That is a reclaimed channel. Explosive move to the upside. So here's what I say when I'm looking at VLO and I look at that 4 hour or that daily. I see a reclaimed, and while it's the upper half, right? So I'm sure. Let's see here. Let me see if I can. So there's confluence on both sides, meaning that's a lower deviation as well. Look, they did the bear flag thing, and then squeeze. That's how they do that. But anyway, this is what we're dealing with. That's a reclaimed trend, and you are. I mean, the fucking yeah, no problem. That's ridiculous. That's beautiful. But what I think is happening right here is you are struggling to truly grab hold. So one thing that we like to do when we're looking at structure is where do buyers absolutely can't, like, nope, right? Not on the way down, but while you're staying up. And for me, it certainly looks like the majority of these opens are there, which obviously you can see there's structure, and you're almost mirroring that structure now, right? And then cost basis, and you can see that. Look at that. And Jesus, fuck. What was that? All right, so when I see this, man, I mean, it does look like it's trying to hold up. Obviously, you did something similar here. Buyers are emphatic about keeping the price up. And I think that where that wick came off of is where things can't go. You can't go there. You can't open up underneath that mark. If you see most openings underneath that lead to your decline. So buyers are still here. They are not able to get the job fully done, but hopefully since you closed up against cost basis, you're going to open up above it, and you could be looking for a straight shot into the bottom half of that channel, where you're probably going to be looking at your first, no, you're not probably, you're going to have a first target of 133. But I guess, if you are going to break out, it's probably going to happen at cost basis. So play the box, regard the chart, and again, don't let me forget, Max, to maybe even jump in this with you. I got a lot of things to remember. I'll be forgetting about fucking golden setups. I'm still salty about Coin and Carvana. I think about them sometimes when I go to bed. It's not FOMO. It's a broken heart. No problem, brother. Could be a good, really a long, man. When you look at that weekly, I mean that's. Yeah, there's risk in that, and I think the weekly also shows volumes. I mean, you don't want to go. It doesn't seem like you want to vol any further. So, but get up in there. And honestly, this trigger. So when I'm looking at, you know what? If it goes up and breaks cost basis, we will. I've almost put my whole career on this shit. It will go up, and the reason that it will go up is because of this and that alone. It is the best setup that I can find. Like in the market, period, end of story. If you have structure at resistance, that's, again, the reason I took Tesla down, right? The reason I took Tesla up. It's a beautiful thing when you have both up and down, if you have that structure below you. So, all right. I got to go take my kids to bed. Did I miss anything? Meta. Wish I had a better alert system, man. This shit sucks. All right. God, dog, man. So this one's no question of mine. And I tell you what, dude, I just watched my video from, I think we were here, and I gave a price target for Meta. And I was wondering if, the week before, if we were going to stop there. But that was literally my price target. Like, not 325. It was, if you go back and watch the videos, it was 326. And the reason why, and again, a lot of times when I say that, yes, it is exciting and I feel good about it. But the reason I say that is because the system is dynamic. It is mechanical and trackable. So that 326 being cost basis, look at the candle closes right there. So I think stay in your bottom half, and I think when you end up punching below candle closes, that's typically a catalyst to come back down. So I think it's important. Obviously this is not a great start. I don't expect it for, not saying it's just going to come crashing down, but there are, probably just because you built up so strongly, there's probably quite a few chain reactions that you could expect. You've got one here, if you'll notice, not a single candle closes in that 50% mark, and this one does. So it does look like you will, at least on the daily, continue to possibly see just another pullback. Can't really tell from there. But I do have the 4-hour pretty well tracked out, and this one's telling me that we should be at the 50% mark. So my price target for Monday, let me know if I'm right. My price target for Monday is 303, and I will say, before I go too far, that's if we close or open or push below cost basis. If we gap up, against resistance or something like that, or maybe we gap up to like 318, I'm still short. As long as it's up against resistance, we could shut down. But I say 50% mark. Watch 303. That should be your next mark. All right. I got to go. Mom needs help. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I feel you. I missed. I'm going to go back and look, but I'm probably going to drop YouTube videos on everything that I'm watching. So, and I'm going to drop this on YouTube, but just kind of a little bit more, tuned in. Also, let's see, what is it tomorrow? No, that's not tomorrow. Never mind. We're good. Cool. Yeah. Those of you who DM me about Lifetime and stuff like that, that's still good. The 40% thing. If you didn't, don't worry about it. But if you guys are trying to, I can't trade live on TikTok, so good luck to all of you guys. But stay active in Potter Chat. If you have questions, I'll try to get to them during the trading day. But if you guys are trying to sign up or anything, the subscriptions over in the left hand corner. If you need any help with that, or if you're having an issue, or you're fucking maybe don't have the cash or something at the moment, you need just a couple of days or a week or something like that. We don't have weekly trials because the Discord platform is a piece of shit. But I can figure out something for you. So obviously I hate that TikTok. Yeah, I'm gonna post this. So, but also I will be. You should see some updates about the workshop. So make sure that you guys have clicked reserve. I'll alert it here. There we go. Sorry. Yeah, of course. No problem, Gator Trader. Congrats, by the way. It looks like you had a great week last week. So, all right, y'all. Take care. Brush your hair. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace. All right. Good night, YouTube.